Hi everyone, it's Dr. Schultz, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about syntax and the emergent bilingual, what teachers of emergent bilinguals need to know. And the purpose of this quick lecture is to tell you a little bit about the syntactical features of English and their basis for understandings related to the acquisition of English as an additional language. So if you've studied syntax before, you may know some of these key terms, but you may not have had an opportunity to think about what they mean for English language learners. So if you look at this first example, you'll see we have two examples of discourse, okay, some clauses. I want you to take a look at them and think about which one is uttered by a native speaker. And why do you think that? And what would explain the rules of the quote-unquote correct sentence? How would you explain that to an English language learner and emergent bilingual student? So the first one, my mother bought herself 2 red, beautiful, brand new lipsticks. Compare that with my mother brought herself 2 brand new red, beautiful lipsticks. Which one would be more quote-unquote native-like? How about this one? Madeline ate breakfast in the morning quickly because she was late for school. Compared with this, Madeline in the morning ate quickly her breakfast because she was late for school. Both basically convey the same meaning, but there are subtle differences in syntax that are reflective of a native speaker versus a non-native speaker. But these rules are not always really prevalent to those learning English, because if we kind of say that as a native speaker or a dominant speaker of English, we might not think about what these syntactical rules are. So we have to really think about them and think about ways that we need to make them visible to our learners. Okay. So syntax defined is basically the way that words are ordered and structured to make meaning in an utterance or a clause or a sentence. It is what we call simply grammar. There are some elements of syntax that are very important that you will encounter as you do your exploration of the websites and resources available in the module. There are things like word order, determiners, the verb system, and questions, and we'll talk a little bit more about them. And first is word order, which has to do with a typical word order in English is subject, verb, and object. Something like the students question the professor. If we were to change this to the professor question the students, that changes the meaning of the sentence. In some languages, word order doesn't matter, okay, and it is the verb that is going to convey all the meaning. Okay, adjective order. Adjective order is really important. If I were to say something like the old science professor is a lot different than the science old professor. Well, wait a minute, the second one doesn't make any sense. But what are the rules? What are the rules for adjectives? Do some exploration of that online, okay? Because the adjective order, the principle of adjective order is pretty specific in English, okay? And if I could spend here about 25 to 40 minutes just trying to explain it all to you, I'll give you some examples and I'll put them online on the module so you can take a look. It's really interesting. Okay, verbs. Oh, verbs are so essential to making meaning. We have different kinds of verbs like lexical verbs, auxiliary verbs, and modal verbs. The first, lexical verbs, are kind of our main verbs. For example, she arrived late, or we live in Woodburn. These are going to be the central meaning of the sentence. Auxiliary verbs are those that have to do with be or having. They kind of talk about existence. So the doctor, for example, the doctor didn't reschedule the appointment. She has rescheduled many times. These are examples of auxiliary verbs. The last is a modal verb, or quote-unquote, those words that kind of are paired with other verbs to show kind of the level of intensity. So there are a range of processes, and this visual from M.A.K. Halliday shows some of the processes that are there. Processes are these verbs and these actions that we all engage in. If we start here, we have there are verbal actions, those saying verbs. There are mental actions like thinking and feeling and seeing. There are those behavioral verbs. There are processes having to do with existence and material or action that can be observed. Okay, we remember that we have tenses of verbs, tenses such as the present, past, the future, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. Look, maybe this is an opportunity for you to pause the video right here and spend a moment reviewing each of these, okay? Especially past perfect and future perfect. Where in time or what aspect of time is being expressed by these verb tenses, and how would you work with students to understand that? Okay? Determiners. Determiners are, we have things like indefinite articles, a and a definite article. Let's look at indefinite articles, and. She visited an apple orchard. Basically conveys it could be any apple orchard from here to Timbuktu. A definite article, like the, is going to tell you that it's a specific apple orchard. She visited the apple orchard. There's a shared context. Maybe it's an apple orchard near your house, but both speaker and listener or the interlocutors in the sentence are going to have a shared reference of what the apple orchard is. Demonstrative pronouns like this, that, these, and those are going to show where something is or point to something in particular. Possessive pronouns is going to show possession, and quantifiers show how many or such. Okay, last thing I want to highlight is this aspect of modality. Modality can be high, medium, or low. So if you think about high modality as you will, or it will happen, or you shall, there's a high level of obligation. In median modality, there's a possibility that it may not happen, and in low modality, it's highly unlikely. So think about these key aspects of grammar and syntax as you are looking at the aspects of students' work in the text. Okay. As you're doing your textbook analysis and as you're working with students, students may struggle with this. We have to think about ways to explicitly teach English syntax to our students so it's visible to them. And there are a number of resources that I've made available on the module. Take some time to explore. See which ones work for you. Which ones would you want to try out with your learners? Okay, some of you are teaching high school, some of you are teaching elementary learners. So knowing which ones are most engaging for them will be important. So let me know if you have any questions about syntax. These are the key principles of syntax explained. Okay, thank you.